All these editors are so expensive. Is there someone here to help me?
I can help you. My edits only cost 50 cents.
50 cents?
Wow!
Hi, I'm Daniel.
Hey, Anda.
And today we're going to test out how money affects editing. And that is why we're going to hire 3 different editors at 3 different price points to edit a commercial.
Yeah, but before we engage our editors, we first have a commercial to film.
Let's go! Oi, Bak!
It's spec ad day, so we're here in the middle of this running track. The space is actually insanely large and it's getting harder and harder to film because there's really just so many people. And we are walking from end to end of the entire circle, just trying to find a nice spot where we're getting the sun to backlight us as well. So something interesting that I'm beginning to notice is that this spec ad itself seems to be proving to be a good experiment for the series. Since for this spec ad, we're just collecting materials for the editors, right? So we have limited manpower, we have limited gear, we have limited time. We don't even have a proper location. I mean, it's a public location, right? And we are just getting what we can. So yeah, I think we can already see how limited resources can actually change the way you create. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it is already very different.
So we decided to do a dynamic sports ad for Nike because you can go about it however you want. You can go about it the whoosh whoosh way, or the vroom vroom way,
Escape from the noise. A moment.
or the slow cinematic way. There's really no right or wrong here, and it will give our editors the creative freedom that they need.
But what's the difference between the whoosh whoosh way and the vroom vroom way?
They'll get it.
Yeah, but we just want to give a huge shout out to Mayan for being so patient shooting together with us on such a hot day. So, now that we got all our footages, we are ready to pass all these to our 3 differently priced editors. But they will all receive the exact same set of instructions.
And they'll be given a deadline of only 3 days. And once we get our edits back, we'll invite over our special guest who is a professional editor and he will give us his thoughts. So,
3 days.
it's just 3 days. Yes, 3
3
days.
days?
Yeah.
That's really quick. I'm sure it'll be over in a flash.
Stop it. Get some help.
Alright, we finally got all the final output from our editors. But before we watch the footages together with you guys, we're gonna introduce our guest today first, who is a professional editor as well as a director. Please welcome Kelvin. Woo!
Hi everyone, my name is Kelvin. I'm from Jump Studio.
Alright, Kelvin, so what does Jump Studio do and why do you call yourself Jump Studio?
Jump Studio mainly career is previous we are do the post-production. So now we are slowly transformed to production house. More do the variety show, music video and commercial videos lah.
How do you get about the name Jump?
It's a very young word lah,
Yeah.
Because you see grandma doing Tai Chi in the park, right? They don't jump.
Yeah. So I think creative must jump out of the box and we are not only run, we can jump. Because creative is not the straight way. So what you can do, just do it. Previous I think Malaysia variety show got one formula, something like if
It's
you
all very 死板, is it?
yeah, like wide shot you cannot cut with the medium shot because you jump frame and can't jump cut.
So you feel like if we take the YouTube approach of keeping things more young, energetic, trying new things, jumping out of the box, that's your approach lah.
Yeah. Why we want to start content? Because I think this is very important for the new generation. 他们怎样看我们？
Because if we are also sticking to the formulas and doing what the previous generation did, then we are not really contributing also already.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
So Jump Studio also has another partner, right?
Yeah. I got one partner, Chiron. So I'm an offline editor. He is an online editor.
What are the differences between offline and online?
Okay, offline mostly we are doing the flow, and online is like doing the touch up, the animation, and color grading. Before we meet up, I think we are pao ka liao one. Like I got do the online work, he also got do the offline work. Something like now my offline work is like 100%, but now I do the online 50-50. But this is not my professional. If my partner is like 100% online, plus the offline 100%, so it's the 200%. Do you watch before the F1 movie? I think like everybody put 1% the effort, so everybody will combine, will do the 100%.
Before we move into the series, there's this one thing that we want to do for our guests. It's a little mini game, okay? As you can see, we have these two boxes here. I just want to ask you, what are these boxes called? It's just a general knowledge kind of question. Do you know?
Apple box.
Hey! Wow! Speaking of which, do you want quite juicy. You want?
Thank you.
What's your favorite juice?
Orange juice. Apple juice.
Wow! Speaking of which, we have apple juice here today. This is a very big coincidence for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad your favorite juice is apple juice. Okay, so if we were to give you an edit of, without knowing the price, okay, of a 50 ringgit edit versus a 1,500 ringgit edit, what are the points you'll be looking for to differentiate what is a 1,500 edit versus a 50 ringgit edit, or maybe a 500 ringgit edit? What were the things you think would be
A good edit.
yeah.
Storytelling. So I will look overall the flow is smooth. 什么是他要表达的东西？
So yeah, actually I think this is a good point because a lot of the time we think about storytelling in terms of scripting, the idea, the conceptual phase and all, but then actually even in the final phase, your post-production, that also affects storytelling a lot. But let's say if it's a commercial, which is you could have story, you could not have a story also. It's a commercial and the duration is the same for both cases. Then what differentiates a cheap edit and an expensive edit?
I think the value 是在 sense 啊，然后在想法上啊，like storytelling 这东西是有点难去区分好跟坏的。
What do you think gives someone that sense, or how does someone develop that sense?
sense 是从小培养，like 你存在不一样的家庭环境，或者是你在不一样的地方，like 为什么我们讲 Malaysia 我们看的东西很窄小，是因为我们去台湾也好，去法国看他们的电影季也好，他们看的东西是从小培养的。你是从小光 art gallery， Malaysia 有多少 art gallery 是可以让我们每个周末去看的。
Alright, after all that yapping, I'm pretty sure Kelvin has certified himself as someone that knows his shit. So today's point of us having you here today is so that we will review 3 different editors at 3 different price points, editing the same footage that we filmed, which is a spec ad, okay, for Nike that we did. Our challenge today is to figure out which one is the 50 ringgit edit, the 500 and the 1,500.
And as a disclaimer, Daniel and I have also not watched it yet, so this is the first time we're all watching the edits together.
Yes. I'm hoping we get to see some interesting things, especially with the 50 bucks one.
On the field, I train. On the road, I unleash. Out here, it's reps and rhythm. And out there, it's grit and instinct. The world doesn't care how clean the form is. It cares if you show up when it's dirty. That's why I train harder. Anywhere, anytime.
I want to hear your expert opinions about this.
我觉得用很多 transition 去掩盖一些不足的地方。我会觉得我想听一些 ambient sound， 先不要这样下音乐，先来 feel 到跑的，那才去到 end 的时候才嘣嘣嘣嘣嘣嘣嘣嘣。
I feel like it doesn't really 配上的 VO, very awkward.
When I look at this, I just feel like they just did it.
That's why they edited it.
They just did it. Alright, we'll move on to editor 2, yeah?
You build it on the track.
Oh my god, what's happening?
You prove it on the pavement.
Yo, it sounds like Audio Jungle.
But
That
when
one,
it's
you
time to
know.
move, you don't mask. You just go.
Why is it like 3 different ads in one?
What's happening to the color?
Off.
I can't see the logo. The client will f him for this, bro.
I know which one is not the most expensive edit. Use 1 sentence to give your opinion.
I think quite off.
Yeah, I'll actually use 3 words. It's very grey.
Out here, it's controlled. Every line, every step, measured. I trained for this. Just me and the track.
I got my guesses already. On the count of 3, we're going to guess together, like, which one is the most expensive edit.
I'm pretty sure we all have the same idea.
3, 2, 1,
3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Okay, then which one is the cheapest?
3,
Right.
2, 1.
2.
2. I think number 1, right, the difference in the sound design is very obvious, like Kelvin mentioned just now. Because the first one, they did use a lot of sound, but then I feel like it doesn't really gel well with the VO. Like, it's just there because it matches the transition.
To be honest, when I watched video 1, right, I thought I just didn't get it because, I mean, they were using a lot of fancy transitions, right?
Yeah, but
Then-
it really doesn't match with the VO. Like.
Yeah, and I thought it was my problem because I'm like, maybe I just don't get it. I don't have the rich taste. But then when I saw, you know, the third video, then I'm like, yo, everything makes sense. The first one felt more like they were just putting cool stuff.
And then another thing is color. I feel like sometimes you don't have to purposely push colors a lot. Like seriously, video 2, that one is scary.
I don't think they push anything for video 2, no?
Whereas video 3 is just going for a very clean look, and then I think that also says a lot already.
I think this free video 我们拿来比喻成的是一间房子。The first video I think is like small condo. You want to dress like a bungalow. 不是很丰富的 sense 去布置他的家里，就差一点点。我们这样想象是 like condo. I want to be a big house, but I not enough money to buy something to decor 我的 decoration.
It's like an Airbnb lah. An okay Airbnb.
Okay, but not so fancy, not so good. But I think like 缺乏一些 taste 了。然后 I think video 2就是一间 bungalow, but 它少了一个东西在。
Wait, this one is video what?
Video 2
Video 2 ah.
It's a bungalow.
Oh, I
Because
see.
I think the 素材是够的，它是一个 bungalow 来的。But 你怎样去 dress 它，然后你就用了一些 audio 讲歌，可能有些人买 bungalow 的 rich man 都会讲哦，这个我朋友介绍，这个树很贵，but 这个树好不好看他自己不知道。
It's just for the sake of like I want to look expensive. Video 2's selection of clips also feels more like just B-rolls that put together. There's no connection in the flow, I feel. I feel like the VO is just there, you know, like because they have a VO, then okay, look, they just add one layer of VO there.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
For 3, it started off a bit slow pace, the cuts also a bit slow pace, then when the music starts to hit, then everything becomes like way faster pace.
They know how to utilize the VO
Yeah.
to tell part of,
Yeah.
like to build the emotion.
As for the second one, I don't even know if I should talk about it. The VO that they put in sounds like something you will put into the copyrighted
Audio
music, like
jungle,
Audio Jungle and
Audio
stuff like that.
Jungle.
I
it's
rather
not, it's not even Audio Jungle, it's like those YouTube
yes.
royalty-free music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, speaking of which, the subtitle choicing.
Yeah, why is it?
Rich man always do like this, ma.
They like to be loud.
Yeah,
Big
big,
subtitle.
big,
big,
yeah. So China always like this, ma. I think the third one is just nice for everything 啦。我最记得第3个 edit 应该是有一个我笑了，因为我听他下影片，我知道这个人应该有点 taste 啦。然后他下的歌，然后过后他有一个 transition，他过脚的时候 ，like I mean 那个 shoe。
Oh yes.
Like 你要知道这个的重点是 Nike 的 brand，它就 just do it， 就是你要勇敢去不一样的地方。所以你这样 feature 到鞋子，它用的很对的是 like 你今天你只是快没用，你要放慢让观众看到你的 brief 的 time。所以它前面是用来一个女孩子很勇敢，我现在去跑步，所以我开始准备穿鞋子，热身冲。然后到最后你看他跑沙那边，跑沙那边就是 like。可能最喜欢就有放大我的鞋子 logo 啊，然后放慢的地方有石头有弄到这样子，我觉得是比较对的，应该是在这个行业有工作过的人。
It's like a nicer way of doing a product placement also, right? It's not just hard sell, but it actually fits the story, right?
你下次你听到这首歌，你就记得这个 ad。
Actually, I got one question. When you look at these 3 editors, right? If you get into the mind of the first editor, second editor, and third editor, right? What do you think their thought process was?
I think the editor one, first thing first is think like how can I impress my client?
Right.
Like I want to show off my editing skill. I think the first editor is like this, and second one I think you don't know how to edit. But listen, my lecturer say put music first. 2 different music. So I try to cut a different way. So no storytelling. But I think the third one 先顾好 flow 先才下音乐的 Suppose 应该是来这样子。I think the music taste 是完完全全在这3个 video 里面看到。You watch before the Baby Driver? I think the soundtrack is very best one. Like I think for the name soundtrack name is easy. So most of the time, I think the music is very important for the video.
Okay, so now that we have finished reviewing all the videos, let's do a big reveal of which video is which. Wait. Okay, video 1 is
1,005. Oh my fuck! What the hell? Yo, we sponsor his transition pack.
Transition 1499.
Yeah, true. Transition is 1499. Then video 3 is the 500.
Video 3 to me is like clearly a lot more impactful than video 1. Now I'm finding out that video 1 costs 3 times as much as video 3. Okay, Kelvin, what thoughts do you have?
I think 价钱不是一切. Yeah.
So it's a scam.
No. So we should pay editors less.
Oh, yo. Jump studio don't need eat.
Video 1 costs so much more, but exactly where do you think the cost went into?
Okay, I think the first video is a company, right?
Yeah.
A company.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the second one is a 小红书.
Yeah.
I think the third one is freelancer.
Yes.
I think we, before own our company, we also a freelancer. So we want to do a best for the client remember us. Always, if you want to hire this person for your editor or your full time, 第一件事情就是看 portfolio.
Let the work speak for itself, right?
Yeah.
So overall, if we go for a company has a lot of cost to consider. That's why sometimes their prices may be high.
如果是适合你的话，你就觉得这个是你应该给的钱，你不会找 MV 的去剪 narrative 的。
Yeah, true. So sometimes it's not saying that, oh, this editor is bad, I overpaid for this editor. But maybe sometimes you just pick the wrong editor.
Yeah, 1,500的 video 的话，他可能是准备 omakase 给你的，他可能很厉害做一些 online effect。But 可能这一次没有用到。
You go to a Japanese restaurant to order nasi lemak, then of course you may be paying omakase prices, but you order nasi lemak, then what do you expect? It's a Japanese restaurant. Okay, but I think if we were to give a fair disclaimer, when we were briefing these video editors, we were also just taking their first submission, which is not really the usual workflow, because in post-production workflow, usually there's a lot of back and forth, where we try to understand the client or what the director wants. So maybe if we had like a few feedback rounds and back and forth, the most expensive edit could have turned out to be the best edit, right?
Alright, so I think we got a pretty clear conclusion. And I'm told before we wrap up, we have another special segment, which is another edit from someone else.
I train for this, so I can hit harder when no one's watching. Anywhere, anytime. Even when it's dirty. Out here, there are no rules, no coach. Just you, just me, I unleash. Life gets louder, and that's where it counts. Every time you show up, you don't ask. It's raps and rhythm, nothing's clear. If you wait for permission, you've already lost.
Just do it!
Wait, they use Shia LaBeouf. Okay, do you think this is better than $50 though?
Yes.
Kevin, you don't look like you like it. Do you not like it?
我喜欢啊，
哦，你喜欢？哦
我
，OK。
觉得 on trend 啊 ，on 现在的 I mean like teenager.
Hey, but the funny thing is, if you put this one online, right, I think this one will do the best, no? Alright, thank you everyone for watching this video. Thank you for Kelvin for appearing on our first episode of this series. Okay, but with our discussion with Kelvin, what do you think? What's the real price of creativity?
There are a lot of like hidden prices, right? Like more money is not indicative of a better edit.
Okay.
And that we should probably look at portfolio. That's a better indicator of the kind of editor you're getting.
That's true.
Because like a portfolio actually shows your storytelling techniques and your so-called editing sense, right? As Kelvin put it.
So when you're referring to hidden price, these are the things that you're mentioning.
Yeah, these are the things that are more indicative of the kind of edit or editor that you're getting rather than just money alone.
And that's a better indicator for an editor's ability, right?
Yeah.
I think my second takeaway would be communication is one of the real price of creativity.
What do you mean?
For this specific case, it will be amendments. I think a lot of people think that amendments are a bad thing. But I think it's very important to know that amendments are part of a healthy communication process. So if all the videos, for example video 1, if we were to give an amendment process, same goes with 2 and 3, I think all of them could be a lot better.
Okay, so it's more like feedback, right?
Yeah. Feedback. It's not automatically bad if you have amendments.
So like if let's say all the 3 videos today, we actually gave them feedback or amendments, I think all of them could have been like better videos.
Better, yes.
But how do we define a better video though? Like what exactly defines better video?
I think based on today's example, I think it's really clear that a good video or a better video is one that achieves its intended purpose. So, for example, what I mean by that is, if the bonus edit, right, if it was for social media or something more eye-catching, I think that one then it would hit.
Oh, yeah. It has like a very strong hook.
Yes.
All the crazy werewolf
Yes,
visuals.
yes. So, but the thing is, this challenge is for commercials and it's for an ad. So that one does not really hit because an ad you're supposed to bring out the brand instead, right? To go back to my second point of communication, to make a great video, it's also important to convey its intended purpose right off the bat.
But how about something like movies though, that are more narrative? Or actually they also have an intended purpose, which is
Yeah,
like,
every scene they want to achieve something.
Yeah,
right?
true.
They have always that North Star that they want.
yeah, and then when we see a movie that's boring or like we can't be interested in it, it's usually because we're not really sure where it's going.
Yeah, we don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
So, all in all, not gonna lie, before going into this challenge, I thought everything was going to be very clear-cut. The cheapest edit was going to be the worst and the most expensive is going to be the best.
Yeah. Actually, you know, right, I initially just assumed right off the bat that our first guesses are correct.
Yeah.
It was
That's why you were so shocked, right?
Yeah, it's so significant, the difference in the edits.
So let us know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like the video and subscribe to stay tuned for episode 2.
Where we are covering cinematography.
We have a very, very cool guest and quite an interesting challenge. So, until the next episode, bye!